does take grace. We pray, we open to grace, and guess what? We move our feet. It takes a little bit of work sometimes to move beyond the stuck places in our lives. And part of it is we've got to recognize that we're stuck. We've got to recognize what those demons are that Glenda talked about, what those stuck places really are. So for the next 5 minutes, I want to talk about what the rigid boundaries can look like and why do we stay stuck? Well, part of the reason that we embrace our demons and just allow them to be in our environment and stay stuck is because it's familiar. Yes? It's familiar. It's comfortable. It's what we know. Sometimes what we know, even if we don't like it and it doesn't feel good, is more acceptable to us in that moment than something brand new that is unknown. Sometimes we stay stuck because we're afraid of whatever else might be out there. It might be even worse. So we get stuck and we resist the idea of letting go of those demons, of letting go of whatever it is that we're holding on to. We resist that. And, you know, we want to stay in control. I like to be in control of my life. Doesn't really work very well. But, we, you know, if it's there and we know it and it's familiar, when we might be able to control how we are with it, that seems to be a place of familiarity, and we might stay there because we don't want to make the changes. We don't want to make the shift. And what I can tell you is, most of the demons in my life that I've had over the past almost 66 years, they don't fit anymore. I've outgrown them. It's time for me to let them go. The things that are stuck places in my life, those things that hold me back from knowing my divinity and from living my radiance, they don't fit anymore. They're out of style. They're out of style. And so my work then, my move my feet part of my experience as a spiritual being is to figure out, okay, how do I work with this? How do I work with these outdated ideas, these outdated beliefs, these ideas that are about prejudice, these ideas that are about being unlovable or being, you know, stuck in poverty forever, whatever those ideas are. And because this is the deal, Pema Chödrön says, Glenda quoted Pema Chödrön, I read from Pema Chödrön in the beginning, she says resistance to the whatever it is that you don't want to have happen in your life has the power to keep those circumstances alive and well for a very long time. So whatever we resist, guess what? What we resist persists. Yes. Our thoughts held in mind, what we're focusing on and what we're pushing against is just going to push right back, and it's going to get in our way. And so the idea is to take a look at how many ways and how many things are getting in the way. People, places, and things. Yeah, got any of that going on? Got any stuck places with that? Any stuck places with relationships? With labels for yourself or for other people? You know, I'm old. I'm not thin enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not lovable enough. I'm not smart enough. Whatever those stuck places are, these experiences that we've had that have sort of been damaging, where we sort of might feel like a victim or the wounded one, we get stuck in these places, and then they get to be resentments, and then that's a whole nother ball game. But these stuck places, these coulda, woulda, shoulda aspects of our life journey hold us back. We want it to be different than it is. And when it isn't, we continue, for some strange reason, to hold on to whatever that is. We hold on to it. I have a lot of stuck examples in my own life that have to do with all the things I've just mentioned. But as I was preparing this, David, you'll want to put your fingers in your ears. As I was thinking about this talk, I was thinking of one of the times in my early years as a mother. My son was about 2, my daughter was a baby. And I remember, you know, it's hard to be a new mom. It's hard to figure it out. These little creatures don't come with any instructions at all, and you got to figure out what to do. And here comes David with a potty seat stuck on his head. Stuck. And my first reaction was to panic. I couldn't get it off. He was crying. He was stuck. The baby was crying. I was panicking. I was not clear. I called my husband at work. He was a lot of help. Nothing, you know, and it wasn't until we did what the lady in the elevator did. We breathed into it, we saw it for what it was, we relaxed, all of us, and all of a sudden, miraculously, the potty seat came off the head and he was unstuck. As a metaphor for the way we deal with our lives, so often we get the potty seat stuck on our head, and we're panicking, and we're not breathing, and there's chaos all around us, and we cannot figure out, what are we going to do with this? What are we going to do with this? So the first thing we have to do is catch ourselves in the act of holding on to it. See what it is. See where we're getting stuck. See it. A lot of times, I'll tell you what, we don't see the demons. We don't see the ways that we're stuck. It's so familiar to us that we don't even see it. So the first step here, and I'm going to share with you, because I'm running out of time, but I want to share with you a process that comes from the Enneagram, the Wisdom of the Enneagram, which is a book that we've used at length in this community. And at the very end of the book, the authors, Hudson Riso, have the Enneagram of letting go. How do you get unstuck? So if you're taking notes, this is the deal. David, go to the next slide for me. Remember these things?
Yeah.
Remember these things? Okay, I'm going to use this as a metaphor. This idea that when we're stuck, the harder you pull, the more you resist, the less clear you are, the less focused you are, the less present you are, the harder it is to get out of these kinds of jams. Yeah? Sort of like the adult version of the potty seat, right? So this is the suggestion. There are a few steps that we can take, because I do believe, and I am totally, my life is an example of opening to grace. We have to open to grace. I of myself can do nothing. I open to grace in every experience. And I have enough wisdom to know I got to do my part. I got to do my part. So here we go. When you are in this experience of having a stuck place, the very first step is to observe yourself as you are in the moment, so that you can actually say, geez, I'm stuck here. I'm stuck here. I'm stuck. I'm feeling these things, like Linda identified the way she was feeling about Muhammad that sat down next to us. Do you need help with your little thing? That's okay. Do you need help with your little, do you need new batteries? Okay.
No, she's just fiddling.
She's fiddling, okay. So, first thing you have to do is observe the way that you're stuck and admit to yourself, hey, I'm stuck. Then if you can, name it, okay? First, observe yourself. Second, name it. What is it? Is it fear? Is it prejudice? Is it anger? Is it resentment? Is it, I'm feeling unlovable? Whatever it is, aha, oh, I see it. I can name it. This is what it is. It's this. This is how we do the footwork. After we name it, we figure out where we're stuck, how are we stuck, then we feel it in our bodies, like Linda mentioned, that icy feeling. We feel it in our bodies. You know when you're stuck. You know when you're in fear. You know when you're in anger. You know all of these things because your body tells you. Yes? Your body tells you that something's different. So pay attention to your body. If you're feeling it first, breathe into it so that you can say, I need to name what this is. So if it's a headache, if it's a stomach issue, if it's your heart is tense, if you're overly tired, whatever it is, see if you can feel what it is in conjunction with naming it. Then stay with it. Allow it. Like Terry's song, allow it to be present. Don't push it away. Don't try to hide it. Lynn and I are counseling with someone right now, and the whole idea is, I just want to hide this problem from everybody. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want anyone to know. And I'm not too happy that I have to deal with it myself. Those kinds of ideas. You've got to allow it to be as it is. Don't resist it. It's very hard to get out when you're resisting. Don't resist it. Don't hide it. Don't run away from it. Stay present with it. Feel it. Continue to name it. Fear, sadness, sorrow, rejection, abandonment, whatever that is, then accept it. Relax with it. Let the zipper open. Let the zipper open. We go around through life pretty tight, pretty constricted. Let it in. Accept it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to even want it to be part of your experience. But until you can accept the isness of whatever that thing is, you're not going to be able to move beyond it. You're going to continue to hold on to it. It's going to continue to influence your experience. Breathe into it. Just breathe into it. Breathing into our life experience is one of the most beneficial spiritual practices there is. Breathe into it. And when you breathe into it, you know what happens? We make room, just like the girl with the zipper. We make room for something new. Breathe into it. Be with it. Allow it. Open to a new perspective. And then, after all of that, and by the way, you may have to revisit these steps along the way. You may not get all the way through the whole thing. You may have to go back and name it again. You may have to go back and feel what it feels like again, over and over. You may have to stay, like Thich Nhat Hanh says, my old friend toothache. You may have to stay with these things. But eventually, when you're really ready to let go of it, and you're done hanging on to whatever this stuck thing is, you will, through grace, have the capacity to reframe it so that you can make meaning out of it. Like Pema Chodron says, when you're in the big squeeze and the rub allows you to take whatever that thing is and make it meaningful in your soul's journey. So if it's anger, if it's resentment, if it's prejudice, all of a sudden you make new meaning out of that. It requires an intention, it requires attention, and it requires the willingness to give up the control, to stop holding on, to let go of the idea that you need to hold on to whatever these things are. And Adyashanti says, what would it be like? What would your life be like if you could let go of every bit of control and every urge that you have to hold on to the stuck places, the unwanted circumstances of life, the prison of your own limitations, those rigid boundaries, those rigid ideas, those rigid places in your life? What would your life be like? How would your life be different if you could let all of that go? What if you could actually breathe easier? What if you could actually relax when you're in the big squeeze, when your fingers are stuck in that thing, so that in the process you can wake up, so that you can actually live 100% in the experience, be alive, love the life that you're living in the present moment, and then let that inform your soul's journey. So the invitation today, if nothing else, open to grace, pray, move your feet, and see if you've got the capacity to let go of holding on to the stuck places in your life. Thank you for listening today.